Something I hear from athletes often, and it comes out in many different ways and using different words, but it's kind of that I am my sport. You've been playing your sport for so many years, especially if you've gotten to the collegiate level and you're so good at it, but you are not your sport. Hey guys, I'm Sydney Mary, and this is Retired College Athletes, a platform designed to inspire and inform current and former athletes through stories from retired college athletes. Let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Okay guys, so today we're going to talk about 5 lies that retired college athletes tell themselves, and we're going to combat them with the truth. So something I hear from athletes often, and it comes out in many different ways and using different words, but it's kind of that I am my sport. You've been playing your sport for so many years, especially if you've gotten to the collegiate level and you're so good at it, but you are not your sport. I think it's really hard when you are transitioning out to kind of find your identity in other things, and it can be so difficult. But there are ways to do that while you're in college to reinforce your identity in other things, and then as a retired college athlete to reinforce your identity and really form a new identity outside of sports. One tip I have about this is to lean into the lifelong identities that you already have. So for me, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a Christian. Leaning into things that you are true about you and have always been true about you, or have been true about you for an extended period of time and are not going away. It's really good to lean into those identities because that is who you are at the core. Now, we've already kind of talked about identities in a previous video, so I'm going to go ahead and link that in the cards above and in the description box below. Feel free to go check it out. There's some good information in there about just kind of forming your identity outside of your sport. The other thing I hear is that you are the sum of your accomplishments, and that cannot be any further from the truth. Just like you're not your sport, you are so much more than that. You were a complete person before you started your sport, and now you're a complete person after still. You are not the sum of your accomplishments. You're not as good as your best performance, and you're not as bad as your worst performance. You are way, way more than that. I often see retired college athletes perpetuating this by striving for achievements that may not really be on brand or in line with what they're interested in, but simply because it feeds that part of achievement for them. So what this may look like is going full steam ahead into a corporate career and trying to climb the ladder, even though that's not actually what you're interested in. Maybe you're a creative that's kind of fallen into corporate because that's the first job you can get out of college. And now you're over here climbing this corporate ladder and you're not even actually interested in it, but you really want to be affirmed and told that, hey, like your accomplishments are great, and so that's what you're doing. Ultimately, this is kind of a disservice to ourselves because that's not what you're interested in. You're just trying to fill this void that you have on accomplishment. I think the best way to combat this is to just question your motives and take your time as you're exiting your sport. I think oftentimes it's really easy to run full steam ahead into something because you feel like you need to be doing something, but really taking the time to ask yourself, does this matter to me and why? So if corporate isn't where you want to be, I'm not saying you should quit your job. Please don't do that. You still need to pay your bills. But think about, okay, like if I don't want to be here in the long term, do I really need to strive after these accomplishments that are really just feeding this part of me? I think it's important to work on validating yourself and not having outside things validate you. I think it's important to possibly go to therapy and talk through how this has affected you and really just work through things that can help you in particular not seek outside affirmation. And then ultimately just be true to yourself in the sense of understanding that you are way more than your accomplishments, that you have accomplished so much, that you have so much more to accomplish, but you just want to do it in a way that makes sense for your life. So you don't want to climb the wrong ladder. You want to make sure that you are working towards something that matters to you and accomplishing it there and not in just something random just for affirmation. Another lie I hear is that life cannot get better than this, in terms of this is like your college career or just your college athletic experience. Now, I know that college athletics can be so fun and they can build such awesome memories, but in reality, you're probably graduating and you're under 26 years old. And there's so much more life to live. There's so much more to be excited about. And so your best days are not behind you. There's so many more ahead of you. I know for me, I can look back at my college career and be so excited about some of the glory days in terms of just like how much fun it was to be a student and a student athlete. But I challenge you to also think through some of the things that you struggled through in that season. I often think that we romanticize past events. There's actually some psychology behind why we do that. It's a real thing. And so we might forget some of the struggles that we went through. I think it's important to kind of put this into perspective and understand that while that was an awesome season of life, there were also struggles that you had to overcome during that time. And so each season brings its own triumphs and struggles, and that's going to be true as you step into the rest of your life. A good example for me is that I loved my teammates. I loved hanging out in the locker room. I loved winning games with them and going to work with them. And that is something that I look back on and I'm like, man, I wish I could get that back. But you know what I don't want back? I don't want conditioning back. I definitely don't want to be getting on the line. I don't want to hear the words get on the line ever again. And so that is something that was also in that season of time that if I was to bring that season back, I would also have to deal with that as well. The fourth why I hear all the time is that I need to maintain my fit and athletic body. You actually don't. I know you probably want to, but I think sometimes it's hard for us to understand that our bodies are going to change. I know for me, I was really adamant about making sure my body didn't change. And in reality, your body is always going to change to support you in the season of life that you're currently in. I think getting comfortable with that change is really important because in reality, your body will always be changing. Your body is not the same as it was when you were in middle school, as it was when you graduated high school, now that you're leaving college. Or maybe you're currently in college. I know as soon as I started weight training in college, my body changed significantly. When I left college, my body changed significantly because I was not working out the same way. And that's totally normal. But my body will continue to change as I kind of move through my life, and so will yours. And that's normal and that's perfectly okay. In one of our podcast episodes, I got a chance to sit down with dietitian Katie Spada. I will link the episode down below and kind of leave something right here for you to look at. But it was awesome. She talked about how often your body will kind of go through like a second puberty as it kind of brings itself down from operating at a stress level of like 100 and moving it down to 50. And so it's so normal. Like, don't feel weird about it. I know it can be uncomfortable, but don't feel like you need to make changes too quickly. I know for me, when I left my sport, I started exercising a lot to kind of replicate my workout schedule in college as a college athlete. And then I underate because I wanted to cut calories because I probably wasn't going to be burning as much as I was before. Looking at it, that kind of makes sense. You're like, okay, let's continue to work out a little bit more because, you don't want to stop. And then let's eat less because you're probably going to be burning less calories. Like, makes complete sense. But in reality, what happened to me was I ended up kind of ruining my metabolism because I was under eating and over exercising. I know oftentimes people want to cut their calories kind of right as soon as they finish because they feel like they don't need them anymore. But your body has to go through a transition process. Just because you cut your calories the day after you finish your sport doesn't mean your body is ready to accept less calories. It still needs that to function. And so our bodies are super smart. It will tell you what it needs. Take this transition slow. Give yourself grace. I think oftentimes we want to maintain our athletic bodies because we enjoy them 100%, but also because we like the aesthetic of them and we like how other people respond to our looks. And I just want to let you know and remind you that you are not the sum total of your looks. You never were, you never will be. You are so much more than that. And so feel free to take this transition slow. If you gain weight, that's fine. If you lose weight, that's fine. You will slowly work yourself into the body type that you do want for yourself, but it just won't happen overnight. And so just get comfortable with your body changing, and you should feel no pressure to maintain the body you had when you were training for performance, now that you are just training for general health. And then the final thing that I hear all the time from retired college athletes is that I have to have it all figured out. And this one, it never comes out directly. No one ever says, oh, I have to have it all figured out. But what I do hear is, oh, my friend got that 6-figure job, their dream job in New York, and they're doing so well. Or my friend is on this awesome fitness journey and I just can't seem to get my act together. It looks like everyone has their life together, and I totally get that. Specifically coming out of college, it can seem that way. Between Instagram and people actually getting really cool jobs, you might feel like you're so behind, and you are not. I want you to understand that you should give yourself grace for this season. No one actually has it all figured out. I know people won't tell you that. It's kind of a secret. Actually, it's not even a secret, but no one has it figured out. We're all trying to do this one step at a time. We're all learning as we go. And so give yourself the grace to do the same. You won't have it all figured out. You never will. You'll take one step. You might take one step back. That's perfectly fine. Your journey is your journey, but I know as athletes, we can be so hard on ourselves to make sure that everything is in place. And I realized that as I've moved from being an athlete to just being a normal human being, that there needs to be a little bit more grace and room for life to happen. Athletics is awesome. It teaches you so many things, but I feel like it happens in a vacuum, and it happens in a short window of time. But life is this huge, expansive marathon that we're all kind of running. And so giving yourself grace to sustain what you're working on. So every day won't be the greatest day. You won't know what you're doing today, but a year from now, you may know more of what you're doing, or more of what sets your heart on fire, more of your passions. And that's a win. That's a huge win for you. And so I just want to kind of give you this encouragement that you don't have to have it all figured out. You never really will, and no one else does. So don't feel pressure around that. So that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found value in it. And if you did, please consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss a video. I post on Thursdays and some Sundays. So if you're interested in this type of content around athletes, retired college athletes, and all these transitions that we go through, please consider subscribing. With that said, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll talk to you guys next week.